Follow live coverage of the International CES, January 6th through 11th on diradiocast.com. Get connected to the world of technology from your mobile device, laptop, or desktop computer. diradiocast.com keeps you abreast on disruptive innovations and technology that will change the world. Follow diradiocast.com. 2013 International CES coverage live January 6th through 11th.
People that have reach and leverage and do crazy things in 6 months at one store just for to see what happens. I have a feeling that this is gonna happen.
We're supposed to stand and twirl at this point. We mentioned Apple. One characteristic of the current technology environment is there are 3 or 4 companies that are essentially becoming gatekeepers and are closing their gardens. I mean, they went from walled garden to open gardens, and the walls seem to be going up again. Apple, Google, Facebook, Amazon. How do you navigate this as a fledgling consumer company?
So my question to that is, do consumers like their phones more or less than they did 5 years ago when it was maybe more open or the internet was more open? And I think the answer is they like them more now. And so, yeah, there's walled gardens, but the user experience is so much better. So for us as app developers, we love what Apple's doing. We love what Android's doing. We work with those guys really closely because they make companies like us possible. I mean, I was a kid and I had this idea, and if I had this idea 5 years ago, there's no way I could have done it. And now I wrote an app and I put it on the App Store and it works. And now there's 120 million people that have it. So I think the walled garden approach is really great to change paradigms. And I bet we'll see it open up as we go forward.
Other thoughts?
I mean, I think what David said at the very end is actually the super important part, which is it will open up. Like it's just this natural pendulum of things. In order to get a lot of innovation really quickly, sometimes it's helpful to simplify things and lock things down. And now what you're seeing is the most popular apps on the iPhone are actually Google apps. So it's going to open up in its own way. So that doesn't worry me.
Which operating systems do you support?
Right now we're on iOS. We're working on Android and Windows 8. Hopefully we'll see.
Will, you're iOS only at this point, right?
Come again?
You were iPhone only?
Right now, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a cleaner experience right now, because the form factor for Android phones changes too fast to build hardware around this ever-changing thing called Android right now. So when we go over to Android, we will be our own thing rather than, being a case for like we are iPhone.
Cyrus, we're talking about cutting-edge technology, and you're trying to revolutionize the medical industry, which is almost seems to be technology phobic, and there's lots of regulation that makes it even harder to do. What's that experience like?
Well, it's interesting. I think the thing that the consumer technology companies have gotten right is the consumer piece. And I think that in healthcare, it's the one aspect of technology where the consumer's sort of been forgotten. And so, from our standpoint, our approach has always been, well, let's just go solve consumer problems and see where that takes us. And consumers reward us with their loyalty, and that consumer loyalty enables you to change the world. And that's been our sort of MO from the very beginning, and it's worked out really well.
Good. Outside of your own companies, what in the marketplace currently excites you? What's great innovation? What's changing the world?
For me, it's 3D printers. It's going to change everything in our lifetime. Right now, when you buy that piece of consumer electronics, for whatever price you paid, it costs more than that. Either somebody paid with their lives, or a company's offsetting you to prefer that brand. And the people that made it are invisible. You don't know who made it. And that's going to come to a screeching halt when people realize that when machines make machines, and the things that you want can be printed in your house.
Definitely.
And just the guts, you will replace them. We'll see that in our lifetime. You will see other things that are as big as your refrigerator that do things in the medical field. That will happen in our lifetime. Just like a microwave came in my grandma's lifetime, hospitals, medicine, doctors, that whole thing is going to be rethunked, and we're going to be a part of that. We're going to see that in the next 20 years.
Chris Anderson's Wired's new book is about the new industrial revolution from basically personalized manufacturing enabled by 3D
so
printing.
It's going to be important, right? Just like I know right now, if you look at popular culture right now, if I went to the doctor I go to ZOCDOC. Then I get an appointment. Then I go to the doctor, and he's going to say, "So what's wrong with you?" "Oh man, I got this headache." "Oh, okay, what are your symptoms? You have fever?" "No fever." "Nauseation?" "Yeah, I threw up a couple of days ago." "Where'd you come from?" "I came from Thailand." Right? So, that's it. He didn't say, "Have you been working out?" What was the weather in Thailand? And next year, couple of years, I'm going to the doctor, and then he's going to say, "Hand me your device." There you go. He's going to come back to me in 20 minutes. He's going to say, "Well, you're probably sick because the chef that made your sushi, his daughter was sick. And you went out and worked out, and it was cold, and you didn't put a jacket on." That explains the fever. Because I saw your tweets. None of that's happening right now. That doesn't happen at the doctor's office. It's like, this is world called medicine. Call me when you get sick, and then send you off back to life to make some more dumbass mistakes. Here's some medicine until you come back. That's all going to change in our lifetime. And consumer electronics is going to, right, that whole concept is going to be more than just, hey, so mobile. That's just right now. Laptops, desktops, computers. My jacket's going to be a computer in a couple of months, a couple of years from now. This button is going to have all my information.
I think your shoes already are.
All right, so it's going to be wearable. We're going to wear the technology, and the clothes we wear are going to know exactly. It's going to be, and it's not going to be some cloud, and I don't know who has my shit. Right, so think about all the things that, like, I'm living out in the world. I have a refrigerator that stores all the things I need to survive. But who's storing my data on what I'm doing while I'm surviving? I'm going to have something in my house that's going to be frigid because you need something cold to store all that data. Your refrigerator is going to be more than just something that stores your food in the next couple of years. You got to be able to see that far and then work backwards. And then create a brand to do that and leverage your reach.
There you go. Other guys, things out there that you love it.
That's the future really soon, but let me tell you about my Sunday. I woke up on Sunday, I stood on this scale that's in my bathroom. It uploaded my data to a website. I got a push notification on my iPhone telling me how I'm doing in my training plan. Then I got a push notification from Runkeeper telling me that I had told my past self that I should take a run today. So I went for a jog, and before I went for the jog, I thought, I need to get some groceries. So I went to this app called Instacart, and I pressed one button to say, bring me the groceries that I normally buy. Someone went to the Safeway, got my groceries while I was on my run. I came back to my apartment, there are my groceries, I cooked dinner.
You couldn't run by Safeway? Sorry.
But like, that's today. That's pretty awesome.
But check this out, I was at a restaurant in London, and this developer, this contractor guy, he was like, so my son loves the Black Eyed Peas, can I take a picture? He's gonna think I'm cool. So I'm like, wow, everybody says that. I wonder if they like both off the same notes. It's the same question. Like, cool, great. So then we're having a conversation like, so what do you do? Oh, I do contractors, so out of pop culture and technology, that's where I make all my money. I was like, cool, have you ever thought about changing the bathroom for one? What do you mean? Well, why do you need a scale in the bathroom? Shouldn't the floor automatically tell you what you're weighing? Shouldn't the mirror? Why don't we use the mirrors? Why can't you just have a camera on a wall with a display system? What the fuck we have mirrors in 2012? People think that you're supposed to do exactly what you did in the past right now with all this technology. The floor should weigh you. The wall should have cameras and display systems. The sink should be more than all that stuff. I mean, Toto was the bomb. Right? I mean, that thing has air conditioning, got water spurts. That's the most technological thing in the bathroom since I don't know how long. Now, if Toto's rethinking shit, we need to rethink the whole shit.
I don't even want to ask another question. Anything else coming in the next 5-10 years?
Actually, totally different than like mobile and like all in our day-to-day lives, which is super cool, and that's happening. Some of the things that excite me are like SpaceX. I think SpaceX is super exciting. I think that level of like exploration and that moving to private industry is enormous. And I think that I'm a sucker for the things that are most ambitious and very likely to fail.
Elon is pretty good at that.
Yeah, no, he's super good at that, and I think that's but those kinds of things are just like the next frontiers of exploration, and like transportation is super interesting. And I think we're going to see a lot of innovation there in the next 5-10 years.
Yeah, cars
Are totally different.
like that new Tesla. Got that Tesla.
And the bigger, the sedan.
Sedan.
The sedan's beautiful. Yeah.
But here's what's wrong with that. When you look at that car, you don't call it consumer electronics. So because cars are two of the two things that we all work for and live for and lease and pay all of our hard-earned money goes to two things. It's houses and cars. And those things are the dumbest things that we own. Even though that Tesla has a great computer in it, that's more of a computer with wheels than it is a car. And we don't call it consumer electronics. It isn't here at CES. It should be.
Yeah.
So that's what's wrong with culture when you look at it. Like we become hypocrites and talk out of both sides of our mouths when it comes to innovation and things we should actually be pushing. So your car doesn't talk to a refrigerator. It should. So you don't have to go to the thing and put on your phone and say your fridge as you pass by Ralph's and say, you know we ain't got no milk in here. And then you should just go to the Ralph's, take the milk out. The door has your Apple Store tells you that you don't need cash registers. I can't go to Apple Store, take $5,000 and walk out with 2 computers. I have to have a credit card. So if you like fast forward 5 years from now, I'm just going to walk out the door and it's going to charge me. So if that's what's coming, who's making sure the refrigerator's talking to the car and the road talking to the wheels, so that I know there's a speed bump because my tax dollars aren't going to the roads. So the car's not talking to the road's not talking to my house. The house is not talking to my phone unless I get some type of device to make it do that, because the house wasn't built for communication. So all those things, so that's why I like traveling. I'm just like I sponge up anything. I sponge up this whole room already.
Is it a good time to be an entrepreneur?
Hell yeah, it's a good time to be an entrepreneur. I don't want to be no rapper no more. Because like, motherfuckers ain't thinking over there either. No, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cuss.
Other guys, good time?
I mean, I wouldn't know any different, but I think it's the best time. You don't have to have any experience. You can just go do something. I was an engineer at TI. I knew how to program algorithms, but I didn't know how to start a company. But you can just go do it. And I challenge everybody out there. Like, if you have an idea that you're passionate about, like, go do it. The worst thing that's going to happen is it's going to fail, and you can go back to doing what you were doing before.
You do it again.
Yeah, do it again.
That's the thing. Yeah, it's the best time. I think there's like such a well, just like culturally, and we see this a lot as we like interview people from across the country. Just like culturally, there's been a massive shift over the last decade where people are super excited about like entrepreneurship, and failure isn't like it's not this like black mark. You're not looking for these like big name brands, particularly in STEM, in engineering and science. Like, you're not looking for like big names on a resume. In fact, like I see big names on a resume and I'm like, oh, junk. Like, let's find someone who's like taking some risk to try to do some things. And now I like look at kids coming out of college and I'm looking at their resume and it's like, oh, this is the company I built in high school, or this is the like app I built in high school and thing I did, and I think that's awesome. So it's a great time.
And it saddens me, it hurts me, where that's not happening is places where I come from, and the direct opposite is happening, where because of the privatization of prisons, if I wanted to invest in prisons, I'm gonna do research at 4th grade education. I'm gonna see how these kids are performing at 4th grade level, and that's most likely where I'm gonna put my prison somewhere around that area. And if that type of like plotting and planning, because of the privatization of prisons, the consumer electronic world has to make it just as sexy for a kid to be Kobe Bryant, to be Bill Gates, to be Mark Zuckerberg, to be innovators. It's urgent, because you're gonna see more Detroits spread around across America like a plague. Because Detroit is Detroit because of technology. It was the record industry and automobiles, the other mobile. And mobile, the automobile in Detroit, it was not just people from the suburbs profited from it, inner city folks, black folks, white folks, rich folks, poor folks. But for some odd reason, the same doesn't happen for the mobile, right? It's not an automatic thing. So for automobile, it was all races, all different demographics. It isn't automatic as to kids in the hood. They're not thinking of being in the mobile industry. So that's the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing. There's purpose behind it. I just don't want to make money, I want to make change.
That's great. Got 55 seconds. What can the government do to make entrepreneurship easier?
Make it easier to hire people that don't live in this country, and have them come here and help us build stuff. I think that'd be the #1 thing.
Immigration, yeah, totally.
Free real estate in downtown Soho. That would be #2.
Yeah. Purpose, and as well as immigration, actually building factories, right? As much as I wanted to build this in America, couldn't.
Right.
That's one little thing I found out about that. Couldn't do it as fast in America. There's something wrong here. There should be factories, like for every project in America, because I come from the projects, there's factories. You can walk to the factories. It's surrounded by industry. But guess what? Those factories are empty. It ain't like I could walk those empty factories. When I was growing up, those factories had people working. Not no more. So it's not like there's no space for factories in America. It's just like, yeah, if I could go, you could go to Singapore and get a grant. Something's wrong here. Another void. Right? A whole bunch of other stuff that we need to, just please wrap up. We need to wrap up.
I thought I'd better answer really quick.
One last word.
In the future, the thing that the government can do now to make the future better is invest in some big challenge with science and math and technology. Like, fund the space program more. It's a tiny fraction of our budget, but it'll inspire the kids that Will sees and make us all really want to go build stuff.
Everyone, well, join me in thanking our friends.